For a lot of us Mac users, Christmas has come early. And what I mean by that, guys, Apple has done it. Finally, I have been using Final Cut Pro for years. And recently I decided that some of the features that I was looking for in Final Cut Pro, I was not finding them natively built in. So I started looking at other applications for editing my client work, as well as some of the content that I create here for YouTube and other social media platforms. Now, if you guys are interested in downloading Final Cut Pro, you can download a free trial right now for 90 days. 90 days you can really evaluate this software and determine if it's something that is going to work within your workflow. Don't get me wrong, Final Cut Pro is very expensive. It's $299. But if you're a working professional or you're a consistent content creator, I believe in many cases it's a worthwhile investment. But the main feature that I was looking for in Final Cut Pro was motion tracking, because I do a number of different types of videos for my clients, as well as sometimes for my own personal content that I would just like to spice it up a little bit with a little bit of motion tracking. And I've looked at other sites and plugins that offer the same type of tracking, and here's one specifically. It's $39.95. It basically gives you a lot of the same features that now come free with your upgraded Final Cut Pro. And for a while now, in the past, this was not compatible with M1 Max, which I am using. Now, their plugin is very, very intuitive. It has a lot of features. I can't say that all of those features are present in the Final Cut Pro version of motion tracking, but it's very close. And for what I would use it for, I think it's going to work out just fine. So what I did recently, over the last couple of weeks, I started learning DaVinci Resolve. And primarily I was learning DaVinci Resolve because it does have a motion tracker built in, and you can easily track text or track objects, whether it's going to be a moving object or a surface that you're trying to apply, like a logo or something like that too. And it's very good. I cannot say that anything bad about DaVinci Resolve, well, other than the fact that the rendering times can be a pain, as well as the way DaVinci Resolve applies transitions. But all of those, there are a number of different workarounds that you can really get what you want done. And one of the best things I think about DaVinci Resolve, bar none, is its ability to color grade. So if you're doing color grading, this is one of the most powerful tools that you can use. And there are really simple ways, well, I'm not going to say simple, but efficient ways that you can round trip between Final Cut and DaVinci if you want to do your color grading in DaVinci and then send your project back to Final Cut, using XML. But that's not what this video is about today. This video today is about Final Cut Pro. So I have a couple of clips here. One I shot here up in my office of me just using the Wacom tablet, and I handheld the video recorder, which was my phone, on purpose so I could have a lot of handheld movement just to see how well it would track. And then if we go a little further down, let me make the screen a little bit bigger for you guys so you can see what's going on. So some of the more common things that we would use motion tracking for. So as you see here, here's just a video clip of some flowers, and they're just blowing in the breeze. So what I did with the, I created a second version of it, and here's those same two flowers tracked, but I've independently tracked them separately. So if you notice, the word flower and the word bee are, moving at a different pace. So they're not moving in synchronicity with each other. And then, another, common use that we would use something like motion tracking for is for, graphics on screen. So as you see here, we have this lady, she's talking on her phone, and this is, a typical shot that you would use maybe in a product shot or something like that. So I wanted to be able to add, some pop-ups. So with just simple motion tracking from Final Cut, I was able to, it's following along with her movement because this is tracked to her head. You know, another example would be something like one of these cooking scenarios, you know, where you just want to throw a little bit of text onto something as an example. We're going to do a demo of this one. So we're going to choose this clip here. And what I've seen a number of people do regarding this tracking is to come down here to tracking and then just track the entire clip. Yes, that does work, but I think it's much more efficient for people starting out if you're not really that familiar with this type of technology or these type of features and you just want something really simple. And of course, I need to find a simple text. So let's say I just drag this simple title. That's not a simple title. And that's definitely not a simple title. Let me just find a graphic. As you can see here, I have a ton of different titles. So I'm just going to use this one simply enough. I'm just going to drag this in and I'm going to try and track it onto this turkey or whatever it is that she's cooking here. So I'm just going to place that there and then I'm going to move my graphics over here. And what I basically just want to do here is to show you just how easily it is to track something like this. So if we zoom in here on the clip, we can see that I have it kind of off to the side, but I'm just going to bring it back a little bit just so we can see what's going on. So you have two options, or actually you have three options here. You can track forward, you can track backwards, or you can just analyze. Typically, I just use the analyze feature. So I would just click on analyze, and you're seeing this in real time. Nothing is sped up. So it's, seeking out the object and it's tracking it in real time. So obviously there's going to be some movement, where, she's turning away, but you only would want this on the screen for a few seconds. So let's just move our title over here. We'll even put it above. I'm just using this as an example. This is not a really good example of a title that you'd want to use, but we're going to go ahead and scale it down really small and just kind of put it right almost above the turkey. So you would imagine, something on here would be something along the lines of, what the temperature needs to be or something like that. So we're going to just roll this back and we're going to play it. And as you see, the tracking followed it, relatively easily. But you can see simply enough, you can just, add a clip. And after you've done all of your other editing, as an example, let's say we wanted to, follow this guy with something related to his social media, and he's, doing something shoe related, so we could just come in here and we could drag in this social media and let's reposition it. Let's maybe put it here in front of his foot. And we're just going to track his leg for the most part because there's a lot of contrast there. And you see I'm not even resizing it, but you have these controls here where you can, round out the shape of the tracking mask. You can expand the tracking mask. You can retract it. You can make it taller or shorter, whatever, works for the object that you're trying to track. So we're just going to move this over here to the side and we're just going to click Analyze. And we're going to let Final Cut do its work, so it's going to go in and analyze. I see it losing a couple of times, but we'll see how that applies. So now we have it applied, so we're just going to hit play. It's a little choppy. Now, one thing that you can do is you can click on your title and then go up to your video, and under Transform, if you just mouse over Transform, you'll see this little icon pop up here. And if you click on that icon, you have different options that's related to tracking, which is position, rotation, scale, or you can remove it. So I'm going to turn off the rotation. I think that may have something to do with why it's moving so sporadically. So let's see if that improves anything. Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit better. Obviously, like anything else and any other feature that you're working with, it's going to take some time. So here again, I have a clip of myself using my Wacom tablet. As I said before, I was hand holding the Samsung phone that I was recording this with. So typically, if I was doing a video like this, I would pick a title, something that would, reflect exactly what it is that's going on. And as you see, again, one thing I really wish that Final Cut had was the ability to favorite your titles or generators or something like that, so you could always get back to them relatively quickly without going through a bunch of headache. And I mean, I have some call outs. I haven't experimented with those, because that's just something that I'm kind of playing with. But let's just say we find I don't know, a simple tap. No, that's no good. Choices, so many choices. I just need something simple. And as you can see here, I have collected a ton of titles. And I even have some little animated people that you can use, but that's for another video. So let's just pick something simple like this one. That's simple enough. So we would drag that on to the clip because the first title is just going to be a static title. And that's just going to be, whatever it is you want to say about, whatever it is you're doing. So let's just call this Wacom Tablet. Got to be able to spell today. And Tools Pro and M for medium. So that's our title. So we would place that pretty much wherever we want it. So let's say we put that title up here, or maybe down here where there's a little bit more contrast. Okay, so there's our title. Let's change that color to something else. Okay. Now, the title that I want to track is going to, I want it to track my hand. So what I would do here is I would pick something else. Let's find something that can work. Yeah, this could work. So we'll just use this as the tracking graphics. So I'm going to drag this graphic in, and let's go back to my clip. I'm going to drag this in, and as you see, it automatically starts to search for different things that it can possibly apply to, right? So I want it to track my hand. So I'm going to just apply that. I'm going to move the title out first. I'm going to move this out of the way so it doesn't interfere with the tracking. So then I'm going to place the tracker where I want it, and then I'm going to narrow the tracking field down a little bit because I want it to stay, close to the pen and my fingers, and I'm just going to round that off a little bit. And then I can place this little graphics here, and I'll scale it down because that's way too big. So we're going to move that in a little bit closer so it kind of follows along with, whatever it is that I'm doing in this scene. So we're just going to go ahead and analyze. And as you can see, it's already tracking my hand. This is a long clip. I think I made a mistake and recorded this in 8K, and I brought this into a 1080 timeline with 24 frames. But it doesn't matter. As you can see, it's doing this in real time. And this is an 8K clip off of my Samsung Note 20 Plus, and it records in 8K, if you want to call that 8K, but it gets pretty close. So it's a very high resolution image that you can capture. Okay, so it looks like it's analyzed everything, but like I said before, another thing that you want to concern yourself with is that rotation. So we're going to click on this, go back up to your movie icon, and then we're going to mouse over transform, click on that, and then turn off rotation just for this clip. And you may do this for most of your clips because, obviously it's something you probably may not want, the rotation. Now, there will be situations where possibly you do want rotation to appear. And as you see, it's following along with literally everything that I'm doing. So let's expand this out to the length of the clip because my hand changes positions. So we're going to play this one more time. And there's our little graphics. Then our icon pops up. And here in a second, you'll see that I rotated the camera a little bit to show a different perspective of my hand. And yeah, there we go. So the graphics is sticking to it. So you can see, using your imagination, exactly how you could utilize something like this. So I just wanted to do a quick video, guys, to kind of go over exactly, my excitement, for this new feature. Now, here's the thing. If you have Final Cut Pro, you have these features. But if you install Motion or you purchase Motion, you will get even more tracking features. There are many, many more tracking features that are not present in the new version of Final Cut Pro. And this version that I'm running right now, just so we're all on the same page, is 10.6. And you will need 10.6, and you will need to be running a minimum of Big Sur. I'm running Monterey Beta. I believe we get the full Monterey next week, the 25th or something like that. So I'm expecting another update for this beta software before then. But if you guys, invest a little bit more, you can get Motion compressor. Compressor is good to have too. I don't use compressor that often, but I do have it. But Motion is going to give you even more abilities and features when it comes to using using this type of tracking. So if you're interested in taking it even further than what you're able to do here, maybe I'm just not sure how there we are, Motion. So if you click on Motion, and I'm not proficient in Motion, I'll admit that, but I am learning, so I'll take the time, to learn. Now the new version of Motion, you can see here that it says object tracking, cinema mode, for the new iPhone 13s. So this version of Motion is 5.6. And like I said, if you're doing a project here in Motion and you're utilizing motion tracking, there are a lot more features built into Motion for motion tracking than it is in Final Cut. And I'm sure there's going to be a ton of people doing videos on these. I'm actually following a couple of people myself that are far, far more proficient in Photoshop, in Lightroom, in Final Cut, DaVinci Resolve, motion graphics. Anywhere you can find good quality education, think about it like that. It's an investment in yourself. So invest in yourself, invest in what will benefit you going forward, for your client projects, or if you just, using these things for social media content, to build your brand. It's a win. All right, guys, it's been Ron Wilkerson. I will catch you guys in the next video. So until then, stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, take care of your loved ones, and get out there and create something amazing. Peace. I'm out.